Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Tuesday, March 24th. We are here live. It is time for the Power Hour. We've got the team here from Pittsburgh Power, Bruce and Eric. We're going to open the phone lines right now, so jump in and join us, 855-950-3835. We're going to get started. Pick up the phone and jump in and join us. Bruce, Eric, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have everybody here. Everybody getting ready for travel?
Yes.
Did you?
Well, got my shirts laid out, suitcase open, the pants in the washing machine. So yeah, I'm trying to pack light. I usually drastically overpack, and so by the time we get up and you put your dress pants on and our Pittsburgh Power white shirt, that seems to be all you're wearing the rest of the day. And I don't know why I take other clothes because we never do change.
That's a good point. And I'm the opposite. I'm pretty good at packing light. I always have been. I had a policy for years. I didn't care how long I was going. If I couldn't carry it on, it wasn't going with me. I just did not check bags for a lot of years at all. So in fact, this trip, I have everything I have with me is carry-on. I'm not checking a bag. It's only a couple days.
You're kidding, man.
No, I don't check bags.
How can you do that?
I have the perfect size carry-on. It's the biggest carry-on you can get that will still fit in the upper bin, and I can pack a lot in that. And then I have a monster backpack that if I pack it right, I can still get it under the seat, so I don't have to put it up, and I can carry everything I need.
I don't like when people do that, Kevin. You shouldn't do that.
How am I bothering anybody
You're taking
else?
too much space.
I put one bag up.
Space.
See, I could stuff the backpack and then put it up top, but I don't because if I can get it under the seat, then I'm not bothering anybody. I only put one bag in the top. I see people put two up there all the time.
Okay.
One up top, one under the. That's also why I can't sit in the very front seat because then I'd have to put two up top.
Mm.
So second row is fine.
Well, I sit there in the waiting area and I talk about people like that. I say these people are carrying on too much stuff.
I don't really push it to where I've seen people that push it where they've got their carry-on. They've got a backpack. They've got some other thing they're probably not supposed to be carrying on. And then they have a bag full of gifts and they can't carry it on and they can't get it put away. And those people piss me off too. But I'm a professional at this. I got it down. One bag up top, one under the seat. I'm in my seat in seconds and out of there. And I always get a window seat, never aisle, because I do not get up during a flight, ever. There's no reason for me to need to get up during a flight, so I take the window. So, because if I sit in the aisle, then I have to keep getting up for the people that need to get out all the time. So,
yeah, it's amazing. There's restrooms all through the airport, and as soon as the plane gets up in the air, people are going to the restroom. And why didn't you go to the bathroom when you were in the airport?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to only have Eric for the first hour. So I'm going to let him talk, and then I'll tell you what I have to offer for this show. And a lot of it's about I met with John Walco on Saturday at Sebring, Florida, about the racetrack. And I just want to talk a little bit about the racetrack and what I saw and how that track came to be. But I'm going to save that until after 12.
Okay. Who else did you meet at Sebring?
I was with Andrew, who was the only survivor from his fire department that was at 9/11. He sells and promotes our catalysts, and he lives in Melbourne, Florida now, and I was with him.
Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony and his wife, Danielle.
You know Danielle.
They're both in my coaching program. So I was talking to him yesterday in coaching.
Oh, they told me about Chelsea's are good. Yeah. I didn't meet Danielle. Actually, I went in on her ticket.
Oh, that's right.
And
That's
we
right.
were
They
in
did
the
tell me that. Yeah.
we were in the Cadillac suite, but I'll talk about that so we can get some questions in that Eric may need to answer on these newer engines.
All right, Eric, you're up then.
Hey, all right. So I am right on schedule. I have nothing packed. Located my suitcase, and that's about where I'm at. So yeah, I'm right on schedule. That's why I got to get stuff done.
So you're driving, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be driving our truck and trailer with our catalyst and flash point, everything in it.
Bruce, are you driving or flying? Where are you? You must
No,
be in
we're
Florida.
in Florida. We're
yes,
flying.
You're flying. Which are you flying out of? Tampa?
No, out of Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. Okay, you should be fine. I checked here in Portland. There's no delays at all in Portland. When I checked yesterday, the waiting time through security was 9 minutes. There's places around the country. I watched Atlanta yesterday. Guy got to the airport 4.5 hours early, stood in line for 4.5 hours, missed his flight because he still didn't get through security, and he was back there the next day standing in line again, and he was on his 4th hour waiting to get in. There's just no way. I'm not going. If that happens to me, I'm going home.
I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
That's awful.
Debbie said, "What happens if we get stuck in Louisville?" I said, "Well, there's rental cars." She said, "What happens if the rental cars are all taken?" I said, "We'll flag down a semi going to Florida."
There was a year at Louisville. It wasn't that long ago either, less than 10 years ago. We were in, we must have been getting ready for a CMC. We were in Kansas, or was it? No, we were in Iowa. So it was after it, we moved it, so that it was fairly recent. And we were getting ready for a CMC, and I had to go to Louisville. So I flew to Louisville from Kansas City. I think that was the airport I flew out of. And then on the way back, I go over Sunday morning to get on my flight to go home or to go where we were. And Southwest canceled a bunch of flights for some reason. I don't even remember why they did it that time. The next flight I could get out, because Louisville's not a big airport, the next flight I could get out was like Tuesday. And I thought, oh, hell no, I'm not hanging around here until Tuesday. I rented a car and drove back. It's not that far. It was a much better option than waiting until Tuesday.
Okay.
But I'm thinking between
what I'll do is
Portland and Louisville being a small airport, the wait can only be so long. I mean, in an airport that small, it's just not going to be that big of a deal.
Well, if I think there's a problem, everyone I talk to at Louisville, I'll find out if they're loading headed to Florida after the show.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Right? But anyway, and I don't mind riding a Greyhound either, so.
All right, one other thing. Have you ever ridden a Greyhound, Bruce?
A couple times.
Have you? You don't mind
Cleveland to Pittsburgh,
Oh, yeah, that's
Pittsburgh to Memphis.
Okay.
I had to go down and pick up a car and bring back for a friend, and no, I had no problems.
Yeah, it's a different experience, I'll tell you that. I am sending a guy your way within, it could be this week. He's in my coaching program. I did not help him buy this truck. I want to say that first off. He jumped the gun and he bought a truck from some guy that talked him into it, and it's been repaired. So we did not agree on the truck, but I'm going to help him as much as I can now. I'm sending him your way. He's very, very green in the industry, but he's got a great attitude. This guy's going to succeed. He just needs some guidance. And I said, that truck's not going anywhere till we get it to Pittsburgh. Yeah, and they'll look over all of this stuff, and we'll get this figured out for you.
Is it Detroit or Cummins?
It's a Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we're sending him your way, and I want you to treat him like he knows absolutely nothing about the truck, and he needs help. So I can't think of a better place. He needs you
You're
guys.
welcome.
Yes.
We
Perfect.
like to help people.
You do. That's why I'm sending him there. All right, Eric, go ahead.
So we have a bunch of stuff going on. In particular, we're going to have some new displays up at our Louisville booth this year. We're going to be promoting our PhD line of parts. So we're going to have some cutaways of like a turbocharger, hopefully. I'm actually 3D printing it right now as we speak. I got a couple more parts to go. I have a set of injectors we're going to take down. We're going to have a piston and rod assembly down there. So you can actually see and touch and visually see what the internal parts look like in your engine if you've never seen them before.
I love that kind of stuff.
Again, I do too.
I really
love
do. That kind
like,
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, last year I took a CAT ECM down. I put some LEDs in the circuit board, just alternating flashing, and it was amazing how eye-catching it is. You're walking by and you see these lights flashing. You just have to look at it, and the injectors are going to be the same thing. I have alternating LEDs in the drilled out tips of these injectors, so it looks like they're actually firing. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
And then even the piston and rod. I mean, a lot of guys have seen piston and rod assemblies out of like gasoline engines, cars, race cars, stuff like that. When you see a piston and rod for the first time out of a semi truck, you're just almost in awe. This thing, is like 18 inches tall, or 15, or whatever it is. It's massive.
Yeah.
And it makes everything in perspective too. And even the weight, like when I pick these injectors off, the 6 injectors, I'm thinking, my goodness, if I had to put this much weight in my race car, I would cry.
Oh,
this thing
exactly.
is heavy.
Yes. Everything is heavy.
So,
yes.
But it's neat to see this stuff outside of the engine too, because then you get a better perspective for how it works in the engine, and then that makes you a better owner operator or driver, or whatever. Knowledge is power. So again, we're going to be in booth 37209. We're going to be right beside, I believe it's Walmart and Cummins. Yeah, they're right in front of us. Geico's right behind us. We're right in the middle of some big floor traffic here. So we're anticipating a pretty busy year, even with some celebrities we're having in our booth. Like who's that guy? Kevin Rutherford, I think his name is.
Hey, Eric, hold on a second. You mentioned Cummins and Walmart, and come on, Pittsburgh Power's always a bigger draw than those guys. They're there so they can catch your traffic, not the other way around.
I don't want to toot my own horn.
Oh yeah, I will. I will. You guys have the busiest booth in the whole place. Always.
It amazes me. Like, I was shocked the first year I led, and I lost my voice after, I think it was the first day. I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is so bad.
Yeah.
And it's something to think about to pack. Like, my wife and I were talking last night. She's like, did you remember your pectin cough drops? And I'm like, no, I forgot all about them. I need them. It's stupid stuff like that.
Right.
You don't even like put together as a just a walk-in, as a customer walking in to look at the place. You would never think about, I got to make sure I have my hand sanitizer, my chapstick, my cough drops, my water.
Yeah.
I'm training for something.
Yeah.
It's almost like a physical endurance race.
It is.
It is.
Sometimes you end up standing there for 10 hours without taking a break.
Yes.
I've had days like that at the truck show. You show up early, maybe on the first day you're still setting up stuff, so you're there early to get ready. Then you hang out late, then you go out to they are long days most of the time.
Yes. And you don't realize it. Like, I don't. I guess I'm kind of stupid like that, where I just kind of do what I got to do. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, man, my knees are sore. Man, my knees hurt. What the heck?
What happened?
13 hours straight. You didn't sit down once.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I've talked to a couple customers up here. Terry Hawk, if he's listening, he's a northern PA customer of ours. We were talking just the other day, and it's funny because he sounded like a little kid on Christmas Eve. Like, he was so excited. I always have a good time down there. I can't wait to get there. It is. It's a good time to meet and finally put faces to people you talk to and shake their hand and get reacquainted too with older customers. One of my original customers when I started here 16 years ago, Ed Anderson, came and met me 2 years ago and walked up and he said, do you remember me? I said, oh yeah, I remember you. And it was funny because that day that Ed had his truck in our shop, which he still has, that beautiful W900 with the ISX in it too. He came in to get some work done. I had drove my 65 Comet to work that day. And he walked up and he said, "Whose Comet's that out there?" I said, "That's mine." He goes, "You aren't going to believe this, but I had one of them too." And immediately, you know, if
Oh
somebody
yeah,
has you're going to be best friends. You
yeah,
know,
that's
it's
right.
just this way. And lo and behold, Ed actually reached out to me about 2 weeks ago. He had just bought another 65 Comet, and he's still driving his W900 around. So hopefully Ed makes it down this year. I don't know if he will or not, but if you're listening to Ed, I'd appreciate it if you stop by. I'd like to see you again.
There you
But
go.
it's so nice of a family we have. And I'm not talking about Pittsburgh Power. I'm talking about the trucking industry.
Yeah.
You know, everybody seems like they want to help everybody. It's a very close knit family, and I'm happy and I'm proud to be part of it. I mean, it took me a while to say that, but I feel like I belong here and I like it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's for sure.
the other thing I want to talk about was we are doing a lot of cat engines lately. I don't know why. They seem to be really popular. And we are going to build our PhD Caterpillar engine for sale. This is going to become a 6NZ. It's going to have our PhD line of parts in it. And it's going to be probably starting 550, 600 horsepower range, somewhere in there. Haven't nailed down the specifics yet, but we can make it to pretty much whatever you want. It's going to have our stage 4 head, which contains Inconel intake and exhaust valves. It is fire ringed for extra protection. We can do head bolts or head studs, whatever you choose. If you're just going to run it, under like 900 horsepower, I probably wouldn't worry about the studs. The head bolts should be fine up around 800. But if you want that extra protection, we do offer that. We offer ARP studding in these heads, or in the block, I should say, for the heads. It's going to come with our Caterpillar HP turbo and our ported and polished ceramic exhaust manifold, our crankshaft dampener. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to offer a mercury field balancing ring for this one yet. We're still working on that. But it's going to be really pretty. I talked to a guy actually this morning that has Valley Chrome's old show truck. It's a 79 Peterbilt 359 that he uses, I'm pretty sure, every day. He does a lot of heavy haul stuff. And it has a mechanical Cat C model in it right now that he called to get maybe some work done to it. And as we were talking, it kind of dawned on me that he might be the prime candidate for this engine, but nothing's nailed down again. But this is stuff we're going to offer in the future too. If somebody's thinking about doing like a restoration job, or like in the car world, we call it resto mods, where you take the old vehicle and put a modern engine in it, you can provide stuff for that too. And with our PhD line of parts, it's pretty cost effective. If you go to Caterpillar and buy a crate engine, it's a great engine, but it's also a great price tag too. So this might be a good avenue for people to look at and explore whenever you're doing some of your restoration projects, or maybe just your truck is tired. It just needs a new power plant. We're going to offer this stuff now too. And the other thing I had, I just lost my notes here. Was the show specials we are going to have. So if you're at Louisville, stop by and see us. We're going to have some sales specials because I'm personally bringing the trailer that's going to be loaded with catalyst and flashpoint, OPS filters, OPS sample kits. I know, Manny, if you're listening, you're going to beat me up on the OPS sale kits, but we already have a set sale price. So I'll still love you. We already have our prices set. But we're going to have a lot of good things. We have some giveaways too this year. I don't know if we've talked about that yet or not. Jordan put a really cool Facebook video out yesterday. We are going to raffle off an extremely cool Leatherman tool. This is actually the second one we got, because the first one I had a little accident with. It's very sharp, I'll say that. So I decided to commandeer that one and buy it from the company, and I ordered a brand new one still in the cellophane for somebody else. But they are extremely sharp and they are very cool. And then we're also going to give away a big screen TV, a 65-inch QLED or mini QLED. I forget how it's said, but television set too. Stop by our booth, scan the QR code, fill out the little questionnaire, and then there's also some other stuff we're going to be offering too for specials for our Louisville customers. So stop by booth 372. Where'd it go? 37209. And stop by and see our specials and get registered for some of our great giveaways.
Outstanding. Speaking of trucks and vehicles that are going to be at the show. I had Truck Parking Club on yesterday, Evan Shelley, the CEO. They built a new project truck to 1978 International Cab Over, and it was bought new as a farm truck, 120,000 original miles.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, they redid it from the ground up. What they did, though, it's not a show truck. They did it all original. So it looks just like it would. They did paint it their yellow color, their company colors, but it's nothing really custom. It's very, very original. It's a really cool truck.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on Facebook yesterday the Kenworth booth from I think it was 71 or 72. And I don't remember which truck show it was, but it was the official Kenworth booth. And they had a Kenworth sales rep out there on a step ladder, and he was polishing the top of the grill. And just
Yeah.
Truck show. It was so cool. Like even the flowers and decorations and the people's clothing, it was so cool to see that back in time.
Yeah.
Definitely a time.
Yeah, the show has changed a lot over the years. All truck shows have. We've talked about that. When Louisville peaked, it was a monster show. I mean, it has shrunk a lot. Every OEM used to have a giant booth. Peterbilt and Kenworth always had the women in evening gowns playing, grand pianos with chandeliers, and it was just crazy. When you looked at, the statistic that shocked me, absolutely shocked me, was in 08. Was one of the first years the OEMs decided not to go. They had been going for years and years, and they had the biggest booths, obviously. They started pulling out in 08 because the economy was so bad. And I remember reading an article, one of the big OEMs, I don't remember which one it was, the article said they were going to forfeit their almost $2 million deposit to be at the show because they weren't going. And I thought, why in the world? You've already paid all that money. Why wouldn't you go? And the reason they didn't go is because the whole show would cost them like $6 million or something. It was insane, the amount of money they spend on that show, or used to.
There was another reason they didn't go either. Do you know why?
The one explanation I heard in the beginning, they didn't go because the economy was really bad, was the idea. Then when they came back, they said, look, we're probably only going to come every other year because we just don't have a new model every year to show. There's no point in us coming back when we haven't really changed much. But that's all I've ever heard about it. And then they just decided not to come back at all.
Well, I see back in 2008, they introduced the DPF filters, and I think they were afraid of getting their ass kicked in the parking lot. That's why they didn't.
That could be. That might be, yeah. I could see that.
Timing's perfect on that. Now, you hear me out on this.
Yeah.
2008.
Now I did see a statistic. Was it Cummins? Somebody just announced their newest engine. I think it might have been Cummins. And based on the new emissions, I thought this was crazy. They said one of their new engines, or let me say it the other way, they could put 100 trucks in a building, and the pollutants coming out the exhaust of 100 trucks would be equal to one mechanical truck.
Wow.
I thought that's insane. 100 trucks. So we remember what it was like to roll into a building with a mechanical engine and scramble to get the door closed and the engine shut off before you smoked everybody out. You could put 100 trucks inside the building running, and that's what you would have.
That's funny you say that, because I remember just the other day, where the heck was I? I was in a parking lot. I think it was at Lowe's or somewhere. Anyway, this old, I'm going to say old, I'm really dating myself here, it was an 80s car. I think it was
Right.
Buick Electra, or it was a full-size GM, and it was a Buick for sure. I think it was an Electra. But anyway, And he drove by, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I haven't seen one of them in years. And the smell hit me.
Right. Yep.
I'm like, wow, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
It has a whole smell. Like Bruce has said that for years, and I thought, yeah, I don't know, maybe he's a little sensitive. But now I'm seeing what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like you go buy all these new cars, you don't smell them.
Nothing.
They just are so much more efficient and effective. And then all it takes is one older car like that to drive by, and it totally brings back all these memories. You're like, yep, it is working.
I've talked many times about, we spent a month in Costa Rica. And Costa Rica, if you've never been, is a lot like West Virginia. It's about the same size, and it's about the same terrain. Really, really hilly. So, and there's no interstates for the most part. So it's 2 lanes out through the mountains and the hills. And you would get they have all of our old mechanical engines down there is what they have. I mean, you recognize all the trucks that I grew up with, and they're all down there. And you get stuck behind a line of 3 or 4 of those going up a 2-lane mountain. You can't breathe. It was awful being behind them. You could not breathe. It was so bad.
Amazing to what we have today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they were down to 15 or 20 miles an hour, so it's even worse. And you could just see the haze coming back. And then you got in it, you were breathing it. It was bad.
Remember the old Detroit 2-strokes too. I saw a video of one of those.
Yeah.
My local fire company had their one tanker, and maybe you could hear that thing winding up for about 4 miles, and then he finally hit the hill in front of my house at like a whopping 6.5 miles per hour.
Yep, that's about right. Yeah.
Screaming away.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have today?
That's all I have. I'm only on the show for another half hour, though. I got to bail at 12 today, so if we have any calls, maybe jump in.
Right now, the only call I see on the board is a 401k question. Looks like I'll be taking that one. Bruce, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I knew I was fairly close to the Sebring racetrack. I didn't realize I was only 90 miles away, and John was going to be there, and I was decided, well, let's just go and see it. And Anthony and I were talking. He says, hey, I have a spare ticket. I said, okay. So I went, and I'm there, and I'm looking at the track, and I said, instead of a racetrack, this looks like an airport. John Walco said, well, it was built in 1942. It was actually built in 1941 is when the concrete was put on. It was for B-17 and B-24 bombers. And a lot of the track is the original concrete.
Interesting. That's wild.
Yeah, the original concrete. So you have 2 runways side by side, and it's joined by a 180-degree curve. And cars, the top class, which are the Le Mans Prototype 2 and the Grand Touring prototypes, they were hitting that between 172 and 180 mile per hour, and some guys weren't even getting on their brakes. Now, towards the center of the 180, it gets a little sharper, and we couldn't see that, but my understanding is they were getting on their brakes. But it's a pretty fast track, and it's rough. It's pretty bumpy in spots because this concrete's old. And what they're saying is if your race car makes it through 12 hours on the Sebring track, you've got a heck of a car. But back to Sebring, Florida, is known as the city on the circle. And I thought, well, the racetrack's not a circle. Here they have a big circle in town. And they have many lakes. There's like 82 lakes in that county. And it was impressive. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. And my understanding is the cost of living, if you ever want to live in Florida, go to Central Florida because it's pennies on a dollar. But in 1950, an engineer by the name of Alex Ullman, a Russian descent, had known about that track. And he was over in Le Mans, and he came back and he said, we've got to take this old, actually it was an Army base, Army Air Force Base. Let's make this into a racetrack. So he was the one who did that. And my hat's off to him because he did a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I can tell you about it. And here's something interesting. You know, there's a lot of booths in there, and Anthony and I walked around and looked at every booth, and they are making truck, motorhome, and car dominiums at the end of one curve. For $350,000, you can buy a 55 by 25 garage. I mean, it's a beautiful garage. 14 by 14 door, 150 amp, 3-phase, air conditioning, heating, pre-plumbed for a kitchen and laundry room. They have a mezzanine. You could actually turn into living quarters. And every other Wednesday, you get to use the racetrack all day.
How fun.
However, $16,500 a year for that privilege.
Okay. Yeah. That's quite a price tag.
Anthony said it comes out to about $660 a day if you use it every day, every other Wednesday. Yeah. But still, to be able to take your car out on a racetrack like that's
be fun.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, 3.7 miles around, and it is flat. I mean, Central Florida is dead flat, as you well know. But it was an interesting day, and I enjoyed it. As I was sitting there when I first got there, I thought, man, if I would have been here in my 20s, this would have been just awesome because that's when I was into racing. Now at 77 years old, that's worn off some, but if I'd have had a chance to take the car around that track, I would have really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's
but
for sure.
What was amazing is these car dominiums, truck dominiums, they had one where they had 4 Peterbilts parked inside it. And I thought, oh, that's wonderful because they're thinking of our industry. Well, and think about it. When you walk through the pits, all these feather-like trailers are all being pulled by a Class 8 truck, and they're all beautiful.
Oh,
all
yes,
spotless,
they are.
all shiny.
Yes, they are.
So they do understand the value of a semi-truck. And my hat was off to the builder of that. Sebring Motor Garage.
So,
and they also putting in condos in too, so condo can be maybe part of the garage or maybe right behind it or whatever. But if you're there, you better like the sound of a race car going by because you're close.
Yeah, that's for sure. Why is it that when I hear Sebring, I always think first of Ohio? What racetrack am I confusing Sebring with? The other day when you said Sebring, for some reason my mind went to Ohio.
You have Nelson's Ledges where I raced, then you have Mid-Ohio down by Columbus.
I wonder if it's Mid-Ohio.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Huh.
Indianapolis has a road course along with the drag strip.
Nelson Ledges?
Yeah, no, I used to hang out at Nelson Ledges. I lived right there, and Nelson Ledges is a park, and they have the racetrack, and there are real ledges. I mean, there's really interesting rock formations there. I used to hang out there all the time, but maybe it's Mid-Ohio I get it confused with. Do they run an endurance race like Sebring somewhere in Ohio?
I can't answer that.
I think that's why I get it confused. All right. I just looked. We do have some questions for you, Eric. People want to talk to you before you leave. So I'm going to start grabbing those right now so we don't miss them. Let's go to Texas. Mike, welcome.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Kevin, this is Mike with the Big House, the one whose woman spends too much in your store. Good morning.
Hey, stop saying that. She's one of our favorite customers. You just leave her alone.
Right? Yeah, she also spends too much at Bruce's store because I'm faithful on the catalyst and the other stuff.
She just
But, hey,
takes
I got
good care
a
of you,
question for
Mike.
you
That's
guys.
what it is. You just need to reframe this. She
She
takes
does.
good care of you.
She does. Yep. And we had a package show up from your. She had a package show up from your place with some damage to it, and reached out to your place, and they covered it real well. So she was happy with you guys' customer service.
Excellent. Love to hear that.
Yeah. So hey guys, I got a few questions here, but Bruce, I've texted this to you before, but my grill guard has Caterpillar D8 connecting rods built into it and a Caterpillar D8 camshaft. And they are big and heavy. But, I used to be an oil field welder, and it's pretty neat grill guard.
So you made a grill guard, a cattle guard, out of Caterpillar engine parts.
Yep, got two. So the Caterpillar D8 inline 6-cylinder threw rod number 2 through the block. So I had 5 straight rods and 1 in the U-turn. I took 4 of them, and they stick out one above each. 2 going out each way, below and above the headlight. And then the camshaft cut it down, and it's in the center and has the oil pump gear drive on it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah,
I bet you get a lot of questions when you're in a truck stop.
Yeah, everybody always likes it. Most of the youth don't know what the heck they are, but all the old guys like it.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
I'm sure.
So on my 2020 X15, after doing an hour and a half regen with 580,000 miles on it, I'm starting to get a roaring noise up front. It sounds like you're idling with the fan on, but the fan isn't on and the fan is not turning. It is a new noise. I'm not expecting you guys to diagnose that, but can I take the fan belt off and run this thing for like a minute to see if that noise goes away?
If it's a cold engine, yeah, for a little bit. Now, is the RPM going up?
Yeah, the noise starts to come in around 800. 800 RPM is where I start to hear that noise. And then once you get up to like 1400, I can still hear it. And I think the noise of the engine starts to drown it out.
Is there any physical damage to your fan blades themselves? You notice anything like might have went through it or chipped it up or anything?
No, I haven't noticed that, but I say when I do hear that noise, the fan is not engaged. I'm sitting there looking at it, and the fan isn't turning.
Okay. And
I think the DPF needs clean to the ash, and I think that the variable geometry turbo is engaging to make more pressure, and that's what you're hearing. That's my thought, Eric. You know more about this than I do, so.
Well, I did have the DPF clean 50,000 miles ago.
Oh, okay. So then that's not it.
What kind of sound specifically is it? Is this like a howling, like a wind noise, or is it like a high pitched, like a jet airplane noise, like a turbine, or squealing, or what?
It's more of a howling. Like I would describe it as the idling with the fan on, kind of that low roaring noise. And I'm
it's not like
actually hear it.
It's not like a jet engine, like a turbine spooling up.
No, sir.
Okay.
No.
You gonna be in Louisville?
No.
I was gonna say, I'll run outside the parking lot and take a look. Make it Thursday because the weather's gonna be nice. Friday's supposed to be cold.
Hey, Eric, don't even think you can predict the weather in Louisville this time of year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, don't even try. You'll just frustrate yourself.
I don't suppose you have any engine lights or codes or anything on the dash, do you, Mike?
No, sir. No,
Okay.
and it doesn't seem to make the noise till the engine warms up. So I thought of getting it warm, taking the fan belt maybe off the alternator or something, let it hang down off the crank pulley safely, and start the engine up and run it for about 30 seconds to see if I could still hear that noise.
You could try that. Or you could even try, too, if you think it'll pick it up, take a short video on your cell phone and email it to me. A lot of times people do that, and it's actually surprising how good a quality these cell phones are, that I can hear and see stuff on a video even though I'm not there. So if you want to try that, feel free to email it to me.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Can I just call in and get the email?
I'll say it's over the air. It's no problem. My email is real simple. It's Eric, ERIC, at pittsburghpower.com. And then also remember, Pittsburgh has 2 T's and an H on the end of it.
Okay. Okay. Couple more questions for you guys. So if I'm just going to need to move the truck 5 feet, should I let it? Should I just start it up, move it 5 feet, shut it back off, or should I let it warm up and go through its whole heat cycle and all that stuff?
I'd give it 2 minutes. If it's a cold engine, I'd give it 2 minutes before I moved it.
Okay.
Yeah, let the fluid flowing.
Yes, I didn't see the benefit of letting it run for any time if you're just going to shut it right back off. But all right. So when I park and when I need to get my lawnmower out, I need to move the truck for a little bit, then put the truck back. I don't know if I should, how long I should let it run.
Yeah. On a car, it takes 6 miles of highway driving to equalize temperatures. So on your truck, I would at least give it 2 minutes of idling before I moved it. Heck, on this Audi that I drive, it goes into high idle at 1500 for 45 seconds every time I start it. So I'm sitting there. Now, if I just run into a building and come back out, it won't do that. But if I'm gone for an hour, hour and a half, I'm sitting there for 45 seconds. So I would just start the truck and do something else for 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay. Copy that. You know, and I like to watch a lot of YouTube engines being rebuilt and stuff. And do you guys know why a 4-cylinder inline engine, seems to be diesel, gas, or anything, needs to have a counterbalancer shaft and 6 cylinders don't? Any idea on that?
Yeah. On a 6-cylinder, you have 2 pistons up at the same time. One's pushing exhaust and the other one's making power. So you don't have that on a 4-cylinder. 4-cylinder, you only have 1 piston up at a time.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So on the 6-cylinder, you might have like 1 and 6 up, then 2 and 5, and then 3 and 4. So they'd all
That's exactly the way it is.
Okay, so then on a 4-cylinder, the crank would be staggered at all different positions and wouldn't be. Okay, I'm following you on that. That makes sense.
Now, what about the 5-cylinder Volvo car engine? It's really smooth, and I wonder how they do that.
Yeah, I don't see too many YouTube videos on rebuilding those engines.
I had a Saab Aero 9096 4-cylinder turbo. Very, very smooth engine. So smooth sometimes. This happened to me a couple times. I'd be taking an owner-operator to lunch, and we're talking about his truck. I looked down, I'm sitting at 4,000 RPM. I forgot to shift it because I'm so engaged in what he's telling me. And that happened a couple times. And that's how smooth that 4-cylinder was.
Nice. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll get off so Eric can answer other questions. Talk to y'all later.
All right. Thanks for the call. Let's see. Who else might be looking for Eric? Let's go to Denver. Brian, welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. What can we help you with today?
Hey, I got a 2006 Freightliner Columbia, 14-liter. It's going in protective mode when I'm driving down the road, trying to figure out the gremlin, what it is. I replaced the oil sensor and the reservoir sensor, thinking to do that, but so far I haven't any luck trying to figure it out.
What codes are coming up on the computer?
It's not coming up with any codes, 0 codes.
And it's just going into like a D rate?
No, it just goes in protective mode down the road. And it's you know, it happens. You never know what's going to happen. It's just, and I go back and forth from Denver to Salt Lake, so I'm in the mountains. It doesn't matter on flat ground on the hills, to still do it.
When you say protective mode, is it cutting back on your power?
Yeah, it shuts down. It's like I turned the ignition off, is what it feels like.
Is it
and
down, or is it still running?
Oh, it shuts it down. I give it a little fuel and picks right back up again.
I know there's a lot of throttle pedal problems out there because the rheostats go bad in them. I got one in the shop right now.
Okay.
I would hook up to one of our remote tuners out there, or do you have or do you have Detroit software on a laptop with you?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I have your tune in, and I had JR put it in, and by the way, I love the tune. It works awesome.
Awesome.
But I could probably have JR, have you guys, get in on the computer and see what you guys can see.
Yeah, that's the first thing I'd want to do would be actually check the throttle position, make sure that it's going to 100%. Because if that rheostat goes bad, it could, you could be pushing on the pedal 65, 70%, but if it loses its signal, it'll tell the computer, oh, nope, 0%, and it shuts the fuel off, even though you're, and then you start smacking on the throttle pedal, and that might be enough to, make those contacts connect again and actually pick it back up is what I'm thinking. And that won't throw a check engine light or code all the time. Sometimes it will, but most of the time on a DDEC 5 ECM, it won't. They're not that sophisticated, I guess you could say. The other thing would be do you have like an oil pressure and water temperature gauge in the dash, or are they mechanical or electrical?
That's cool. I got the scan gauge on, and I use that all the time.
Okay.
And my temperature is, around 184, 186 usually, and my boost is good. I'll get up to 30 pounds, 31.5 pounds.
You don't see anything erratic with those gauges, though, like the oil pressure doesn't fluctuate or the water temperature doesn't move around?
Well, unless I'm climbing a hill. But, I'll go up to 211. That's about as high as I go on my temperature. My boost, my voltage is around 14. I watch that thinking maybe my alternator's over, producing it and put it in protective mode that way, but it hasn't. It's been at 14.
Okay. What about oil pressure?
Oil pressure, depending on the hill and stuff. When I go up a hill, it'll go down, it'll go down to 42, 43. When I'm flat, I'm at, from 47 to 50.
Okay. Everything else sounds normal. I'm really thinking it's probably your throttle pedal, either the assembly or the rheostat that gives the throttle position sensor voltage to the ECM. Okay. It could be an ECM issue too. I have seen some really weird things when ECMs go bad, but I definitely wouldn't point my finger there first. I would look at the pedal first. But if you could get into one of our remote tuners, it doesn't take long at all for us to hook up, and then he'll just have you say, okay, halfway, push it all the way to the floor, let go, and then he can read. It's basically like a potentiometer on his laptop, though. He can see exactly what percentage is versus how far you're pushing. So we can diagnose that pretty fast. Awesome.
Yeah, because Patrick and Cheyenne did it for me. He did a great job. Patrick does a great job.
Good people.
Yes, he is. Very good people. But I want to thank you guys for everything you do. Over the years, I've been listening to you guys. I learned a lot from you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Utah. I think we have an answer on the on Mike's truck. Charlie, welcome.
Hey, welcome. Hey, Eric. I think I had that similar problem to that guy, and I thought it was my turbo going. And I was out in Colorado at the time, so I stopped at one of our terminals, and Cincinnati. The guy looked at it. He says, "What do you call your fan hub's gone?" The fan hub was leaking, and every time I would accelerate, you could hear it whooshing and howling. It sounded like the turbo.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And fixed it. Put a new one in. No problems.
Yep.
But I got another question for you. I had put it in Kenworth last week. Found out that I had a pin gone in my fuel pressure sensor. And what do you call it? The kid was great, but he updated my ECM, and I think he wiped out my tune from you guys that I had done about 3 years ago. So is there a remote tuner out here that I could go to get it updated again?
Where are you located at, Charlie?
I'm running every day between Grand Forks and Grand Junction and Spanish Forks out in Utah. Spanish Forks is about, 35, 40 miles south of Salt Lake City.
Okay. And I have one up in Logan.
That's okay. I don't think that's that far. Okay. Anyway, I could just email you. I could just call you and I can just get that number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Great.
It's Brent. BTB Transportation. I think it's Brent Binghamton. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. I have his phone number here, Charlie, if you have something to write with.
I'm driving here, man. I'm just a little bit. Hold on a second.
If you want to give us a call after the show, and for anybody you're listening that doesn't know, also we do have a remote tuner map on our website. If you get on PittsburghPower.com and then click the remote tuner tab under dealer maps, and it shows arrows of all of our remote tuners all over North America. We have them in Canada. We now have some Catalyst dealers up at our Catalyst dealer in Alaska now. We're all over 49 states now. We're shooting for 50, but we're at 49 right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is a pretty unique run I'm on. I'm hauling CNG back and forth to data centers, Salt Lake City.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. I started with this company over a year ago, off and on. And, these trailers supposedly cost about $1 million a pop. Ooh. And they got about 1,000 of them.
Wow.
They're pretty, yeah, when they're empty, I'm like about 72,000, 73,000. And when I'm full, they're like 78 tops, so it's, and all they do is run us all day long, every hour on the hour, back and forth. So, kind of a neat gig.
Sounds like it, yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
All right, thanks for the call. All right, I think we're just going to take the questions in order now. Eric, you got to bail here in a couple minutes?
Yeah, here in a little bit.
All right. Damien, Wisconsin, welcome.
I don't even know where to begin. I know what I originally called for, and this is kind of why I like Paul. He says I called in for one thing, but now I got 3 other things I want to say.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Yeah.
It is, because while you're sitting on hold, you hear the whole conversation, and it completely takes you off what you originally were talking about.
That happens to me all day long.
Say.
Yeah, it happens to me all day long. I have a bunch of notes, and I'm going to go right through my notes, and then squirrels show up, and they're running everywhere, and I get distracted, and who knows where we end
squirrels.
up. Yes.
Nuts.
That's right.
I am the same way. My brain does not shut down. It is overactive. So I wanted to say something derogatory, but I'm not. just because I'm a new caller. I want people to get to know me first, so I don't take it the wrong way. Someone to quit. Because I'll just say this: when people ask me what I do for a living, I typically kind of just default answer is I'm just a dumbass truck driver, because that's kind of how everybody views us. I mean, again, stereotypical wise, my neighbor who's an electrician says he tells me I should stop saying that because it puts me down, because he knows I'm not.
Correct.
But that's still my default answer.
Why don't you say distribution engineer or relocation engineer?
I do. It's funny you said that, because Henry uses the same, I think, employment thing for Facebook. I put a decade ago, I put down commodities relocation engineer. I think I heard him on the show say he uses the same thing.
Yeah. I used to say I'm an entrepreneur that likes to drive a lot.
Yeah. Because it's all okay. So let's get back to what I was kind of where I was going.
All right.
The first thing was because you mentioned Costa Rica. I know you travel a lot. This is not my main topic or what I want to talk about, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. You travel a lot. Have you done cruises and all-inclusive trips? And if you've done both, which one do you prefer and why?
I've only done one cruise. I've never done an all-inclusive trip, and I won't. And I probably, if I cruise again, I think the only cruise I would be interested in that I might try would be an Alaska cruise. Cruising is just not for me. I did not enjoy the cruise. That's what we're doing this summer. Yeah, I did not. I've done one cruise.
In June,
I did not
we're doing
enjoy.
An Alaskan cruise.
Too many people.
We've done two crib.
Yeah, too much time on the boat with nothing but a bunch of water, and I don't really enjoy like the shows. I'm not going to eat that food. I mean, there's some food I could obviously eat, and I would enjoy that. But the cruise, to me, all the waiting, all the people, everything's on a schedule. I hate that kind of stuff. That's why I wouldn't do all inclusive.
Did you do a Caribbean?
I did.
You did one.
Yeah, it was Caribbean.
Was it a Caribbean cruise?
Yeah.
4 ports or no?
3, I think. I think it was 3. It was when I did it, there was a time where if you wanted to do Caribbean, you had to go out of Miami, and it had to do with the speed of the ships and how far they could go. And then they launched a new ship that was significantly faster, and they could do a 3-stop out of Cape Canaveral, and that's where I left. And I think it was just 3 stops. It was a private island.
All right. So
then it was what's the island that's half French and half Dutch, I think?
St. Martin.
St. Martin. Yeah, we had to stop in St. Martin, and I forget where the other one was. I just did not enjoy the whole thing, though.
I think that's
cruising's just not for me.
Okay. All right. And the inclusive you haven't done.
Now, the problem with all-inclusive, I hate being tied to schedules like that. I hate everything that planned out.
Well, an all-inclusive, like if you're on an island, there's nothing that's kind of really planned. You're there for the whole entire time. I've never done an all-inclusive, so I'm trying to get a barometer for the two, because we've done cruises.
Here's the other thing, and I lived in Florida for 14 years. The beach just doesn't really excite me. Islands and beaches, they're like, what do you do? I get it. I could go snorkeling, but.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll quick ask Key West. Are the Keys worth going to?
I really like the Keys. Yes. I used to, when I lived in Florida, Lisa and I spent time in the Keys. I love the Keys. So for me, if it's going to be kind of a tropical vacation, I'd rather be in the mountains and that kind of stuff. But if I'm going to do tropical, I do like the Keys.
Okay, so that's at least something I can put on my list, because we've done 2 cruises to the Caribbean, 2 different ones, one Carnival, one Norwegian. We're doing an Alaskan cruise this year for my wife's 50th. She turned 50th in January. So a gift to her, which she wanted to do, her bucket list was a cruise to Alaska. So this June, we're leaving out of Vancouver and doing like a 3 or 4 day cruise up the east or up the coast, and then getting on a train from some port and going up to, I think, Anchorage, and then flying back. So it's like a land, air, and sea 11-day.
Yeah, so I've looked at possibly an Alaskan cruise, but the other thing I might do that I think I would enjoy more is I can just drive up to Washington to the ferry docks up there, and put the car on a ferry and go to Alaska with a car. I think I'd enjoy that much more.
You're in a regionally area that you can do that.
Right.
I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not coming to.
Yeah, we go up to the ferry terminals all the time up to go to the islands up around Seattle. There's a, Friday's Harbor, and there's cool islands up there. But then you have ferries that go all the way to Alaska, and they're auto ferries. You can put your car on there.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Since you're on the West Coast over there, the other one I have as a bucket list is the Redwoods.
Oh,
have you been to the Redwoods? Is
absolutely.
it worth seeing?
It is absolutely worth seeing. That is spectacular. And by the way, that's the only place in the world those trees exist.
I am aware of that, and that's why it's kind of on my bucket list. But I'm looking for something to do on the West Coast, and that is one of them.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So cool. Thank you for the recommendation. I'm glad you reinforced what I already thought. Yeah, because I think the world's largest tree is there, the General or something.
Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.